Hi and welcome back to my channel, Koala Chip In. I am Koala speaking. And this is my little nook. Chip In is a nook in this end of the universe that we call YouTube. So today I'm gonna talk about something a little bit different, but the concept is healing my inner child. So I'm gonna talk about something that I do to heal my inner child and what the message for you is with this video, which isn't what you might think it is. But so I'm gonna talk a little bit about why I feel the need to. So I'm gonna go about this backwards. So when I started healing this part of myself, I actually started with the practice of this, and then I realized why it makes me feel good. So I I opened the door to it through inner child healing, and then I healed something that I thought was completely unrelated. And then I started doing this practice, and then I realized, oh, these two go together. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about book annotating. So today I'm gonna talk a little bit about book annotating. I'm gonna talk about what it is very shortly because I'm not that far into it, so this is like my understanding of it, and most importantly, it's my take on it and what's important to me about it. So I'm gonna talk about book annotating, what it is, how I do it now, and then why, and connect it to my inner child healing. So what is it? So book annotating, to my understanding, is so the purpose of it for a lot of people is that it gives a deeper connection to the book you're reading. So if you like to read books, this is a way to deepen your connection with the characters, deepen your experience of the book as a whole. For some people that doesn't like it, it might feel like they are being restricted in the reading because you have to stop and think. But for me, and for because that's what I've discovered, and for other people it's more of like an interaction with the book when you're reading. That's how I try to do it. But from the and how I do it. So from the very beginning, this was just a way for me to bring out my inner child and do something that I had been restricted from doing my entire life without even knowing it. So when I grew up, so sorry, Dad, if you're watching this, but so I grew up with a father that had a very pure view of books, I would say. Like, books are sacred, books are almost holy, books are to be collected and to be read and enjoyed. And but if I did I don't have like a specific memory, but I know that it was forbidden to do the smallest dog ear in a book. That was like sacrilege. It was like uh yeah, it was disrespecting the book and books as a concept almost. And you know, it goes from hearing about book burnings and him saying how horrible it is. And of course it is. It's horrible with book burnings. I don't condone those at all. But from that big of a thing, like to really destroying books, from that big to the smallest dog ears, everything in between, I also uh, experienced as being something that wasn't, yeah, it wasn't allowed. And so in healing my inner child, uh I didn't like, oh, I can't, I'm afraid to destroy books, I need to heal this. That's not what I did. I healed other things in myself, and this is what came out: a real desire and joy, but most of all a little bit of rebellion, a little bit of a rebellious feeling to be like, what? I can write in books. So that's where it started for me, because writing in books have been something that is like restricted to studying purposes. Like, of course, I have used like a highlighter when I was going to university, or when I was going through, even in like middle school and high school and that sort of thing. I used like a highlighter to highlight stuff, and like I loved studying when I was a child, so that was one of my strong suits. And I did like highlight stuff and yeah. So that's what I did, but it was like restricted to learning and not doing it because you. I didn't even think to bring the two practices together. So I've been to a lot of book clubs and book studying circles and that sort of thing, and I might have seen other people do it, but it wasn't something that ever crossed my mind as being allowed for me to do. So it's like one of those rules in life that were in my life, at least, that this is allowed for other people but not for me. So you can do it but I can't, you can do it but I can't. And it wasn't even like black on white like that. It wasn't like that. It was more of a feeling and just a knowing and a certainty. It was like, no, why why should I, why would I ever write in books? That's And I would use words to myself and to others that come from my upbringing, so they weren't a part of me and of my view on things, really. I do love that books exist. I do love that there are libraries. I love libraries, and I wish that all libraries could stand forever and just bring in all the books that are written, so that there would be like an archive. And I have the deepest respect for library books. I have one right here. This is a library book that I borrowed some time ago, and I started reading it yesterday. So when it comes to library books or borrowed books, I don't write in them or like highlight anything. I do use post-it. So for this book, no. Oh, it's not here. It's still on the post-it. So with borrowed books, I start with just a list of the people I encounter, because I have the hardest time remembering books. I remember if they were good or bad. And sometimes I don't even remember the book. There have been situations in my life where I have gone to like a store and looked for a book and this author. I remember that I read this author before and I liked that book. This one, please. And then I go home and I read it and I'm like, oh yeah, I really like this one. Amazing. Yeah, wonderful book. And then I put it on the shelf. And then a few months later, this is one specific time that this has happened. It has happened before, but this is something I can really describe because I remember it happening. I went into my storage, right, where I had put aside like things, and I had a box of books, and I unpacked the books because I had some favorite books there, and I wanted to read them again, and I had put them away when I moved, and I was just like, and then I found a book that I had been thinking about in the store, right? And when I found it, it was the same one. It wasn't just the same author, it was the same book. So not the same, like literally, I had one in the shelf and then I had one in the store, so it wasn't the same, but it was the same title. So it was the same story. And I'm like, oh, that's why I thought it was so good. So that is kinda, I usually say that when it comes to movies and books, I don't store that. My mind doesn't really store that information. It ranks the movie, ranks the book. It doesn't necessarily remember anything more than just recognition. Like when I see it, like with the author or something like that, I remember, oh yeah, this was a good one. It's better now than it was like a decade ago. But so uh, a lovely thing for me to do when I annotate my books is to keep a record of the people in the book. So that's like the first thing I do. So for a lot of people that annotate their books, it's more about um like the world building, the scenery, the emotions, and I haven't really gotten into like annotating world building, but I have gotten into annotating of trying to find my way of doing it. So what I do right now is when it comes to borrowed books, I write down the people I encounter in the book so that I can, be like, oh, who was this? And when I go back, because sometimes there's so many people, and who was the brother of who, and who was the what the. And then the second thing is quotes. So those are like the two main things I look for in borrowed books, and something that stands out to me. And I put a post-it on it. So I have this big post-it for lists, and then I have the smaller ones for just putting on the pages with the quotes. And I usually just draw like a line. So I put it where the quote is, and then I draw like a line. I don't have anything to show you right now because I just started this yesterday. But I draw like a line on this to by the paragraph, like somewhere here is a good quote. And then when I've finished the book, I take out my one of my journals. I think you can call it a commonplace book, and I write down the good stuff from the borrowed book that I want to keep in mind and that sort of thing. And maybe information I want to remember. With books that I own, I do it a little more. So this is one of the books that I finished. I finished this one yesterday. So I have like, this is where I'm currently, I'm in the process of extracting the quotes from this one to my commonplace book. So this is where I'm at. So page 116. So I'm gonna remember that. Okay. So this is like how it looks. Let's see. Yeah, you can see there I have highlighted some stuff, and I use the corresponding color of the tab when I do it for now. So I've heard a lot of different things on how to annotate, and I just go for it. I had like a gift certificate to a good store, and I used that to just buy a lot of stationery. So I have some tabs, different tabs. I have quite a few different colored post-its in this size, and then more than this one, I have one in pink also, and then I have highlighters, and I put them all here. So this is like in front of me when I annotate. So what's the beauty in this? Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because it's a big part of healing my inner child, all right? So what I want you to take is I'm healing my inner child with every page that I annotate, with every highlight, with every time I underline, every time I circle. It's like a part of me, it's like a rebellious act, but it's also mostly that I enjoy it, and I enjoy, some people call it doodling. Maybe that's the word in English, doodling in the books. So I do have some pages where I have like done a lot of hearts, and I have written in the book like that. And I really just enjoy doing it. And here's a lot of different highlighter and a bit of doodle. So I really like this. And nothing about this feels wrong. And that's the purpose. To do something that finally in my life, it feels okay. to do. It's like, how come I didn't see this? That's one of the thoughts I got like a few days ago. I was like, how come I didn't know that this was okay? Why wasn't it okay? It's my book. I bought it. It's like I've had a duty to the book, even like a small paperback like this, to keep it pristine, to keep it in mint condition with no dog ears and no writing and nothing in it except for maybe like, I think the what's the English word for it? The exception to the rule has been like a dedication, or if the author signed a copy. Those are the ones, like if I give away a book and I dedicate it, I put it on a page, like a front page, like, and dedicate it, like, to my blah 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 on the birthday of blah blah blah, you know. And then yeah, so that has been like the only exception to the rule. And as you see in this book, I also have a list of people. So this is the second one in a series, and I put the list of the people that have already been. I met them in the first book, and on the last page, I have some new ones with new people from this book. So it's 3 different pages, almost 4. It's a lot of people. So a lot of names to remember. So what I want you to take away from my journey with annotating books. If you have questions about annotating books or how to do it, please put it in the description. If you have come this far into this video, please comment with like something to do with books. It would be amazing. Like a pen emoji or a book emoji or something like that. I would really appreciate to see how many people actually watch this far into the video. So, how can you heal your inner child by doing something that was forbidden when you were young? So you can go about healing your inner child part from two perspectives, right? The first one is from the outside in, and the other one is from the inside out. So this is a part of a journey for me that was on from the inside out. So I healed something completely different that had to do with like rigid thinking, uh, prejudice that I grew up with, removing myself from the dogmas, is that word, that was a part of my childhood, and breaking free from that as a whole. And one of the results of this in my practical life is that I can do what the F I want with my own books. And it's so liberating. So what I want you to do, if you feel called to, do it from the outside in, right? So find something that try to keep your eyes open to something that other people do that you don't. And ask yourself, why? It can be everything from, no, I can't get a dog, or a cat, or a lizard, or a tank. No, other people can have dogs and lizards and cats and tanks, but I can't. And ask yourself, why? And it can also be something like, no, other people can eat that sort of stuff, but I can't. Why? Or other people can run marathons. I would never be able to do that. Why? Why will you never, what does that come from? Why do you think that you can't do the certain thing that you have come across? So think about something that you've just never tried. Or maybe you see someone doing something and you're like, oh, that looks nice. And then you're like, maybe you stop for a moment and be like, so why don't I do it? and really sit with that. Sit with that for a moment. You don't have to try the stuff. You don't have to, if you're like, no, I have never rode a bicycle in my life. I don't even know how to. You don't need to learn how to ride a bicycle as an adult. Like, if you don't really feel like it. But, oh, but ask yourself, why? Were you restricted as a child to not do stuff that you could be injured in doing, or what where does that come from? So work from the outside in, look around you, and think of the saying, as within so without, as without so within, and just ask yourself why, and go from there. So with that said, I wish you a lovely day, a lovely week, and just enjoy. Let your inner child enjoy life to the fullest, no matter how many books you destroy, how many knees that gets scrapes when you try to ride your first bike, or whatever. Just enjoy life. If you're like, oh no, I can't be rolling around on the grass and laugh like those people. That's insane. Why is it insane? Go roll around on the grass with those people or like those people. Maybe when no one's watching. Just do it. So that is what I want to tell you today. And walk in beauty, healing your inner child from the outside in. Shingling.